Live. This is the Krillcast Live. I'm your host, Chris.
Guys, I'm Nerd Talk Dan.
I'm Billy. Dan's least favorite character on this, but got it.
Characters.
We got JC at the bottom here.
JC, yeah.
And I'm SpyV, the token woman. Hello. The token woman of the evening.
That's not why you're here. You're here because you're cool and you do movies.
Oh, I know. I just really like to say that without telling anyone I'm going to say it and just see how people react.
Oh my gosh, and JC is trying to join the stream twice here. So we're off to a great start. You got two different things connected, JC. Did you know that? Maybe he doesn't. Oh no. Okay, anyways, I'm going to roll through Nerd Talk. Mr. Dan, tell everybody about your channel.
Well, first, Chris, may I just say I nailed my intro this time. Remember the first time I did it? That was awkward and it was beautiful, but this time nailed it. Oh,
you did. You nailed it.
All right, thank you.
Nailed it.
Guys, I'm Nerd Talk Dan. I run a channel called Nerd Talk, generic by choice, by the way, for branding purposes. I discuss pop culture. I discuss how it connects to society. I discuss tropes and narratives and all the things that make me happy in life. So feel free to stop on by. You can find me on Twitter at that name thing I'm pointing to right there. So
he's got a name.
Have fun. I do have a name. It does exist.
And then the ever-present Billy. Billy, tell everybody about yourself really quickly.
Hi, I am Billy. I used to be Visnawesome. Now I do Tales of Initiative, which is an awesome D&D conglomerate of a bunch of cool people that all play D&D together, and we make it super dramatized and make it really fun. And we're launching all of our stuff in September and October, so look out for all of that awesome stuff. Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, he's got a clip up actually to preview what he's got going on here, guys. So check that out. Then we got as she describes herself, token woman, Miss SpyV. Tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah, I used to do movie stuff, but apparently I'm a bad drama channel now. So I do pop culture, movie essays, and then sometimes I'll venture more into the commentary style of stuff, talking about things that happen in the community. Sometimes I do art challenges and redesigning characters, stuff like that. So a little bit of a variety relating to all of that.
Yeah, she's got a really cool video on the recent one I really enjoyed was your. Oh, I guess I'm a little ways back here. I really liked her Oscars one, but obviously the most impressive one is this almost, over 500,000 views on the Brief History of Creepshow Arts, which was like a documentarian perspective on drama there. But also she did this movies that were way more gay than they first appear. There's that one. That one.
Happy late Pride, everybody.
It is July. No,
listen, Pride
Absolutely.
Month never stops if you don't let it.
Fair enough. All right, and then Mr. JC, if he is actually there, tell everybody about your channel.
I'm actually here. Yeah, no, I feel like I did not get a good chance to introduce myself because I have been cheated out of everything. I've been taken away on a job. My name is JC or Jacob. I do acting both in real life and voice acting, and I run the channel JC Productions. The handle below is at JC and VGO. That is my Twitter. I do a mixture of short films and then attempting to break records on Call of Duty Zombies on my YouTube channel. Come say hi if you're interested.
And how many world records do you currently have in Call of Duty Zombies?
I managed when Cold War came out. I managed to get it up to 5, but now I'm back down to 3.
Oh, did somebody break the records?
Yeah, and I haven't been able to take them back.
Well, we're rooting for you, JC. So when you're rolling for it, let us know. We'll jump in the stream with you.
Absolutely.
Well, or at least the chat, right? We're not cool enough to be in the actual zombie stream. I can't win at zombies, so there's that.
I'll bring anyone along.
You mean I could be a world record holder too? That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right.
That'll have to be a thing.
Instead of Killionaire in Halo, it's Krillionaire. There you go. No,
Krillionaire.
anyways, so today we're here to discuss movies. It's not usually what we discuss on this channel, but I brought the right people here to discuss movies with me. And the first question I want to ask you guys before I tell everybody go subscribe to all of these channels. They're really great, especially Dan's least favorite. There's that one. That's a great channel. Billy. And JC again. Here we go. There he is. He's back already. All right. I want to ask you guys, do you think that movies in 2021 will recover better than they did in 2020?
Oh, all right. Can I ask for clarification on that question? Does it mean movies that are released?
The production process. Do you think we'll see a much more streamlined movie production this year as opposed to last year?
No. I think the necessity of COVID protections and safety features kind of makes streamlining it much more difficult. It might cause staffing to be cut back quite a bit, but I'm not seeing it being... It's not, for example, it's not cutting back staffing because of efficiency. It's by necessity, which I think is going to make the process much harder, if anything else.
So you think we might see more movies with less actors, less effects, or less people involved?
More likely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I doubt less effects or anything that can be done by a computer because all of that stuff can be done remote. That's why I think a lot of animated movies actually did pretty well under pandemic lockdown times, because animators could just work remotely from home and you just have virtual meetings of everything going on. But live action stuff, yeah, definitely a little bit more difficult. I'm sure that they still, it's Hollywood. They're not going to just throw caution to the wind. They're going to have their new modified streamlined process that they're going with, but I don't think it'll be as efficient as oh my God, there's two JCs now, but
they're multiplying.
Yes, but I imagine that 2021 is probably still going to see several of the difficulties. I actually think LA just went back into like stricter mandate rules, so that'll probably throw a wrench in things. So that's about what I'd expect. Just kind of keeping chugging along at a slower pace, though.
As far as that goes, there's movies like Passengers. I don't know if you guys watched Passengers years ago, but I really enjoyed that one. It was essentially just like Chris Pratt, and then brain is not getting to the second person.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
That was the bulk of the actual acting in that movie, was Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, and then a few other characters that were more side roles. Do you think we'll see more movies along those lines then, based on what you're telling me, where you'll see a couple of actors in a shot at a single point? Because I've already seen like Tomorrow War had a bunch of people in it as far as production goes, but I wonder if some of that occurred during a lull in COVID.
Oh, I see.
Well,
I think maybe for more indie productions you might see that, but I doubt it for bigger budget flicks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know a guy in California that's a location manager actually, and the biggest thing that they're doing is more of like renting studios and rooms instead of actually going out on locations. So they're condensing it farther in. So movies like Passenger are probably actually going to start to be their own contagion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're looking at, so I would bring up two situations that just happened. One is the production of the newest Mission Impossible, which Tom Cruise was being very strict in terms of making sure precautions were taken care of, but still keeping everyone hired, because he viewed it as his way of giving everyone a living, right? This has affected not only just our entertainment, but people who are working in the industry. But they just shut down because they had a COVID outbreak. And I think the natural consequence of that is what happened in F9. I haven't seen it yet myself, but I saw one scene, and they actually... they CGI'd Vin Diesel running on top of a roof, and everyone's like, why didn't you just get Vin Diesel to run on a roof? And it's probably just it's logistical. It's easier to have one guy in a helicopter filming all this area and then CGIing everyone. That way you don't have to have a stunt person, all the coordinators, all the insurance people on set to make sure this goes right. I think we might see more of that in terms of inserting people digitally, but
And to be fair, we've come a long way from the CGI we saw in Jaws 3D. So,
Oh, sure.
Hey, don't hate on that, man.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
They did their best, Chris. They did their best.
I just recently
We have
rewatched
people making
some
full
of those
movies by
scenes.
themselves now.
Yeah,
We have, we had a movie or a short film, I guess. It was 20 minutes called Astartes, and it was made by one guy.
Whoa.
One guy in his room, and that's a new possibility of people breaking out now and doing that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's technically not a movie, but I still consider it a cinematic masterpiece, which was Inside with Bo Burnham. That was
good.
just, it was so it was literally written, edited, shot, everything. Bo just did it all in his house over like a year during quarantine. And it's so good. It's so good. It's technically a comedy special, not a movie, but it is very cinematic. Would probably be the best way to describe it.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's too bad Hizzy Hay isn't here to give his 2 cents on that, since I know he loved that movie and
I know it's so good. I love it.
his 50K views on that video would say that other people enjoyed what he had to say as well. So
He should be here soon, maybe. Who
yeah,
knows?
I hope so, because that's something I want to get into in a little bit here. Is like when because you guys all cover movies. I know even Billy has covered a movie. You covered the Avatar movie.
Dude, they did a great job. That was a great movie.
Oh no.
So what I was going to ask you guys is have you found yourselves finding an audience by covering movies on your channels, especially given the last 2 years of movies? And do you think that covering movies is still enjoyable for your channels as far as your production process goes?
Yeah, those are real good questions.
In my experience, for the most part, actually no. Like my just straight up movie reviews or video essays tend to do the worst on my channel of anything else I do, unless it happens to be somehow like related to a hot topic. Like there's one video, well, I'm technically working on this video, so I can't know how it's going to do, but it's like a movie review, but it's about a very, Hay's in the chat. But it's like about like a hot topic issue. Like they just chugged out this movie about like a popular true crime case that happened recently. But so stuff like that always performs better than just straight up like, hey, I'm talking about this movie today. Like it needs some sort of gimmick, I've found, like, or some sort of overall theme. It's like if you just do, for me, if I just do like, hey, we're reviewing this movie today, it's not going to do as good as the other stuff that I do.
So you're saying timing and context has something to do with the success of the videos you put out?
Yes, and I mean that's going to vary for different people, I'm sure, but just in my experience, that's how it kind of goes for me.
How about you, Dan? I know you did like an entire series on the Star Trek show. Did you find that covering the series on television as opposed to a one-off movie, was more successful or less successful?
I don't think with a channel my size, I have enough data to be able to say, oh, this worked or this didn't. What it did do was some of those videos did get, for where my channel was at that time, quite a lot of views. So I was sub 100 at the time, and I was getting upwards of 600, 700 views per video, which is pretty big when you think about it for that level of growth. But I think the benefit of what I did there was it got my foot into the Trekosphere, I suppose. Any of my videos, I think for me is it forces me to engage with my community a bit more, because I like to do things on my own. But when I'm reviewing a series, I need to get feedback from people. I need to hear, okay, what are the other views? And so I think with the movie sphere, when we cover it, it allows us to kind of open up a little bit more. The problem is, unlike something like where you do heavy gaming, specifically Shin Megami 10 and Halo, that's a lot of your content. It's hard to focus down as much with movies. So I think Spy is right that you have to have a hook. You have to have an idea or a theme that really pulls it all in.
Yeah. The broader, the better, essentially.
Yeah,
I completely understand where you're coming from with that. And I have to say, not being able to engage with your community, the YouTube's community tab setup is kind of messed up, in my opinion, because how do you ask your community for feedback when you can't actually engage with them directly outside of posting videos? I think it's very frustrating, especially with a channel that has sub 1,000. It's very difficult, I think, to engage with your audience in that more personal way. Have you found that? Have you found that frustrating, Dan? In that you can send them to your Twitter, you can send them to talk to you on other various platforms, but since you can't directly talk to the YouTube subscribers on your channel, how do you find yourself engaging with the audience on things like your Star Trek? Is it just specifically every single video? Have you found a lot of them migrating to Twitter and following you there?
Sorry, I just saw Billy changed his name. Sorry.
Sorry, Will said something. I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to acknowledge it.
Sorry. I was trying to have a serious discussion here, Billy. All right. What was the question again?
I was just saying, with the YouTube community tab being locked out to anybody sub 1,000, have you found it hard when you're talking about movies and TV shows to get engagement from your community to help to better cover and or get differing points of view?
Yeah, it definitely is. I think my channel, the way I am as a person, though, it's very much here's my philosophy on this thing. I'm going to give it to you and I'll let you guys figure it out. Like, do you think it's right or wrong? I want engagement, of course, because I want to hear if my ideas are good and it helps me sharpen my own thinking. But a lot of video essays, I'm not sure the creator necessarily needs as much feedback. I want to engage people because it's fun for me. I love talking Halo. I love talking games and movies. But in terms of the content I create, at the moment, I'm not sure that much feedback would change or alter my channel or the way I run it, if that makes sense.
I guess what I meant was not being able to have engagement directly with your community outside of your videos. Do you think that is a bad policy of YouTube to not allow all creators to have that access? And would you use it more often if you had it?
Yeah, I would. But I mean, we have Twitter, and I guess Twitter kind of functions in a similar vein as the community tab, right? It's just there's one extra step to get there. Like, how do you guys use Twitter to interact with your own communities?
I found that, for example, Twitter itself, there's a lot of creators on Twitter, but I don't see like my passive listeners also on Twitter. A lot of times what I see on Twitter is a lot of other creators. I don't see a lot of our more passive audience on there. It's usually just your active audience and other creators that I see on Twitter. So you don't get to interact with the more passive listeners or viewers of your channel on Twitter, in my opinion. Which is why I really liked the idea of getting to a community tab. And now that we have one, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's kind of a weird process. I don't know if Spy's had a lot of interaction on her community tab or if she's used it very much, but maybe she can elaborate.
I like to use polls on my community tab to judge audience reaction to upcoming video ideas. That's my favorite thing to do. Because then I'm like, it can help me prioritize which ideas I want to work on first if I don't have a good idea. It lets me know the type of stuff my audience wants to watch. It also can give me like a little bit of a precursor into potentially like if I'm trying to figure out a title of a video, like what type of wording or phrasing makes people click more, essentially. So that's mostly how I tend to use my community tab. I don't comment directly, but it's at least a good way to gauge some sort of audience expectations or wants or needs from me, which I appreciate. I do wish sometimes they were a little bit more direct, but also I don't like socializing, so direct is like okay with me.
I personally go for like the most direct route possible, and as a channel that doesn't have a community tab myself, that's why I've leaned so far into live streaming, because it's so direct.
That is true. If you can live stream, that's good. I haven't live streamed in a little while, but I did like doing them when I did them more often.
I live stream weekly, and it allows me to be so much in touch with them.
Oh, there we go. Billy's name changed again. I was like, I can only see past the changes. Okay. So Dan is I love Dan's name change there. Hopefully Billy's wife is watching. So there's that. Anyways, as far as engagement goes, I think a good question Will has just added to the conversation here, since he's not actually physically in the conversation. Looking at you, Will, I see you. Do you think the interactive movies have the potential to become more mainstream, or are they a passing small niche? And I think what he's referring to is like Netflix has kind of experimented with this, where you kind of get a choose your own adventure style movie.
Like Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Yeah. And then also, if you look further into like gaming, like Telltale series, it's almost the same idea, right? You've got essentially an interactive movie, or like what is it, Detroit Become Human, or any of the other games produced by that studio are almost like interactive movies. And I think right now it's still too small of a niche for me to project it, but maybe you guys have a better idea on where we're going with interactive movies.
I'll chime in. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that those are kind of gonna stay a little bit more in the video game than like the movie sphere, but I do see them or they might just kind of be their own thing. But I can see them becoming more popular. I think there's a lot of potential there. I don't think they're gonna necessarily just stay incredibly niche. Like you can do a lot with that, and some people, they like making choices, but they don't like extremely hard gameplay, so that can just be a different style of almost video game for people to choose, just obviously live action and with actors. I could see it becoming more of a thing personally, for sure.
Anybody else got something they want to say about that?
I think Billy had something to say, no?
That was actually the best way to put it. I was going to say, I think it's not the problem with like that kind of like medium, in my eyes at least, is it kind of takes out the like interactive with, like, you can't play that game with a lot of people, or like watch that movie with a lot of people, because like it kind of takes away that special like nobody has to make a decision. The movie plays on its own. With like interactive, it's hard for everyone to kind of agree, and then it takes like effort for people to be like, okay, let's like start making decisions together, and it's less of a relaxing kind of like experience. It kind of goes more towards just being a gaming style.
Well, then my question would be could you have essentially fans determine canon in an interactive series? So like, for example, I think The Walking Dead, they took percentages of all the decisions made, and by the end of it, they basically said, here's the largest percentage of people chose this, so we'll work off that on the next series.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying they did it. That's what
I'm not saying that you're like all for it. I'm saying so. I think it. Yeah, I think the nature of a movie versus a game are very so. We have to approach it several ways. A game, by its very nature, gives you agency. You are the protagonist, therefore you can make those decisions. You're entering into that experience knowing that that's part of it, that you are in charge, whereas a movie is by nature a passive one, right? And I think this interactive movie thing is a fun idea to play with. I wouldn't even say it's a niche. It's more of a gimmick, kind of like the way 3D is. People might try it, people might play around with it, but eventually it's going to wane, and then maybe 20, 30 years down the line, it'll flare up again, but it'll never be the standard of movies. If only because you can't go to a movie theater and have that experience, as Billy said. All you can do is have it on something like a streaming platform. So it just, I don't see it working out. And when you're a creator, you definitely shouldn't be run by what your audience thinks, because your audience doesn't understand the full scope of the world. They may not understand all the hints and the breadcrumbs you've laid along the way to create this narrative. So it's kind of Game of Thronesy, right? George R.R. Martin, everyone said, is he gonna? Yeah, are you gonna change your ending based on, the fact that Game of Thrones did this? And he said, I can't. I laid this trail, and if I just suddenly change it, it doesn't make sense anymore. So I can't cater to the audience, to their whims, because that's not always what the audience needs. It's like a child, Chris, you're a dad. If your kids were like, I can survive only on Jolly Ranchers, you're gonna be like, no, that's not how this is gonna go, because that's not what you need. It's what you like, but it's gonna have bad.
It's actually, Dan, it's more like, Daddy, I can fly if I jump off the swing set, and it's like, no, you can't. I'll catch you here.
Well, every kid's got to try that at least once. The Jolly Ranchers things is just crazy. The flying thing, we've all done it. But anyways, that's where I was going with that. You got it one time.
Yeah. I guess the next question is, given that we've kind of discussed all of these subgenres of movies, now we should probably hit the hard topic. Now that we got at least 6 people watching. What movies have you seen in 2021? And of those movies, which one was your favorite?
Oh, man.
My answer to the first part of that is not as many as I wish I have. And the second,
Sure.
honestly, I know I kind of already talked about it, but if we want to count Inside as a movie, that has been my favorite thing all year. If we're going to go more traditional, probably Luca has been my favorite so far. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment.
That's some good choices.
Keep in mind, I am very behind generally on a lot of the movies that have come out this year.
I was originally going to say A Quiet
a
Place
lot of
2, but I
people are
realized
behind
that
on
was
movies this
2020.
year.
That was
I was going to
2020.
originally say that one. No, A Quiet
Yeah.
Place 2 says it technically came out in 2020.
Oh.
Yeah, but how close to the line was it? Was it like December 30th? Or are we just
I don't know
splitting
how
hairs here?
close it was. I just noticed when I looked it up online, it says 2020. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that came out a while
If it's
ago.
fiscal year, man, that's over the line. That's okay.
Anyways, because of that glitch, I picked Tomorrow War because I actually did really enjoy that one.
He
Is
just
that
likes
the most
Chris
recent
Pratt.
one? Yeah, Chris
I
Pratt,
do
man.
like Chris Pratt. I do like him a lot. He's a great actor.
Oh, wait, no, okay, hang on. Listen, there was a movie that came out January 1st this year.
I thought she was going to go on a rant about Chris Pratt. She's like, well, no.
I just remembered that. I technically was going to try to wait to mention this until Hay was here, because Hay knows of my unabashed love of this movie. Because the movie itself, on every like objective and measurable scale, is awful. But however, it is the most #girlboss, #feminism movie ever, and it's called Shadow in the Cloud, and it is so hilariously good, and I love every minute of it.
I'm looking this up.
It stars Chloe Grace Moretz. She is the only female officer on like a World War II era fighter plane, and she has like this package she has to deliver. It's like top secret, and immediately just all the dudes on the ship are like super sexist towards her and are like, oh, little woman can't do woman things, and then she like beats the fuck out of this creature that attacks the plane, and it's all very girl boss, and it's amazing.
Fair.
Hell yeah. Chloe Grace Moretz has that like she is perfect for a role like that. She always has that like girl boss feeling anytime I see her in movies.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince a friend of mine that they're having a baby soon, and I'm saying if the baby's a girl, they should name her Maud after the main character in that movie. Because that's just pure girl boss, babes. It's so good. It's one of those movies that like you love to laugh at.
So I think we're on to Dan now. Is it your turn?
Oh, sure, if you want it to be.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
All
Let's do it.
right. The best so movies that I saw in 2021 is what we'll have to go by. I haven't seen that many, so I get into a cycle where I just rewatch old movies. But I guess in terms of new releases, I saw Tenet. I actually have to look at a list because I don't even remember. Actually, I think that might be it for 2021, or movies that I was able to see in 2021.
I thought they came out in 2020.
Oh, it definitely did, but we didn't get it here. We didn't get it here until
like,
2021.
I was like,
I had to use a
anymore,
VPN
man?
and
I
everything.
don't
I'm just
know.
kidding.
You guys got to cut me some slack. Remember, it takes like a year for any movie to get here. I guess it's the Justice League, the Snyder cut I saw. But
Damn.
is that a movie as opposed to a masterpiece?
I gotta go.
An epic.
Hold on, Billy. Did you not like the Snyder cut?
We got to, how long do we got on this? We got like an
4
hour.
hours.
And a half?
We have exactly 4 hours. I'm gonna start Justice League now, and you better be finished with it.
I will.
It was
hold my
okay.
peace.
I didn't say it was great. I said it was it was okay. I didn't. I thought it was gonna be much worse, and it was like, oh, okay, that was fine. Tenet was okay too. Like, I enjoyed it at the time as an experience, but then looking back on it, you're like, I'm not sure what happened at all.
Yeah, no one. That's just like every Christopher Nolan movie ever. What are you talking about? Like, why did you expect
Batman
anything?
Begins. Everyone knows what happens in Batman Begins. Batman. That's
true.
it.
Yeah.
So I have not seen Space Jam 2. Has anybody
I heard
seen it?
it's awful, but I haven't.
Oh, I hear it's so
seen it.
bad too, Spy.
No.
I have to say I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, so like there was no appeal for me going into it other than it's the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
So
I saw a single screenshot of the movie that had like 3D Big Chungus,
oh god.
and that's. I think that's all I really need to know about the movie, honestly.
They really
see
honestly
the,
they should have
Fury
brought
Road?
Michael Jordan out of retirement for the movie. That would have been hilarious.
Oh, that would. How much do they have to pay him though?
Probably a lot.
Also,
Yeah.
from what I've seen, LeBron James is not a very good actor.
MJ wasn't a good
yeah.
actor either in '90s.
Oh man. We got Portrait Hay instead of
Oh my God, it's
Landscape
Hay.
Hay.
Hi, Hay.
Give me like 1 second. I don't know why, but my PC just like for whatever reason it's like, no, I don't want to work.
Oh, what a
got that.
diva. Oh my
I know.
god. Jesus.
I know.
Hey, at least we can see you. You're
That's
in the
all I
stream
have.
right now.
Wait, hey, so were we in the middle of something when I jumped in?
Yes. Have you seen Space Jam 2?
Okay, continue. I have not seen Space. Look, I was very busy this weekend, unfortunately. Has Dan seen it?
I don't think anybody in this chat has seen Space Jam 2.
Space
No,
Jam
I
2.
haven't.
Okay, I'm gonna see it later tonight, probably after this, because it's the
Godspeed.
cinematic masterpiece of the year. Real quick, I have a small addenda before we get to the obvious best movie. I was listening, so I saw Spy. Naturally brought up, of course, the most girl boss film of the year, Shadow of the Cloud.
The most girl boss film of the decade. Good for her cinema. That's
but-
exactly what
but
that movie is.
I will say, not to spin back to previous things. Chris, you mentioned Tomorrow War. Tomorrow War.
Love
at least
Tomorrow
for-
War.
But from my understanding, it was already filmed before COVID. So here's the thing. I think
Oh,
just
okay.
I think just like games, there's going to be a lot of weird like catch-up stuff where like they're like, oh, well, now you're going to get a lot of these weird like, oh, there's only 2 people and Ben Diesel CGI'd into something or whatever. I mean, we already had like the Michael Bay COVID movie. So, there's going to be fun stuff like that. But I'll be fixing my PC. So y'all keep at it.
Sounds good. Hey, you can stay in the stream and just mute yourself for a little bit if you want. All right. Okay. So I'm curious. Dan, have you seen the Anthony Bourdain documentary?
I haven't yet. I've been meaning
Okay.
to, but it's gonna take me. I have to have a few drinks before I. It's gonna take some emotional fortitude. So I do
understand.
want to say, the guy who helped produce it, Zamir, Anthony Bourdain's friend. We every once in a while we'll tweet back and forth, and so he's all for this movie. And the thing is, I'm like, I've heard good things about it, but also that they did some sketchy stuff. I don't know if you heard that they used AI to generate a moving Anthony Bourdain.
Oh
And
yeah, I
then
heard
they-
about that.
They did some sketchy stuff with that. So,
Yeah.
like, morally speaking, I feel very conflicted now. I was all for it before. I was gonna watch it, but now I'm like, they did the thing. And do you guys think that as a movie society, we should be reviving the dead in that way, or do you think it's just such a sacrilege? Because to me, obviously, I do. We shouldn't be doing that.
Basically, like, I'm almost 100% on a no for that. I'm pretty close to 100%. I think for very specific things, it would be okay. Like, let's say you're
For
doing
example?
a movie with AI in the movie, and they bring back somebody's voice as the AI in the movie as like somebody who's been deceased for a long time, and the AI is doing that as like programmatically to talk to you. Like, that would be kind of a weird, okay scenario, but it's like that's specific to that movie because it's AI, because they're using it to like manipulate somebody in that movie. I think that would be okay.
Okay,
But
so
that's, like, one of the
as long
only
as it's
ways.
plot driven.
Exactly. Like I wouldn't want them to do, like, let's say for some reason they decided to redo the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. It's not going to happen, but let's just say they did. I would not want them to have Carrie Fisher AI'd into a new sequel trilogy ever, because that woman has passed away. It would be disrespectful, and I would be very upset.
Well, they're eventually just going to have actors sign away rights to their facial features,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's going to happen, but I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, there was a movie about that, I think. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing because they did that with Rogue One.
Yeah.
They
Peter
actually he's technically the first actor that signed away the rights to his facial features. And so they just have his likeness on file as long as technology exists.
Well, like I'm not okay with. I'm okay with, but not okay with it. Like, for example, do you remember that 3D light show where they did the Tupac concert using essentially 3D light show?
Yeah.
The hologram,
The hologram, yeah.
the fake hologram. It's not that's not like a real hologram. It's very difficult to explain the technology behind that. But it was essentially a light show with a bunch of projection screens creating a semi 3D image. Either way, it's not like a true hologram. A true hologram is like what you'd see in Star Wars. That's not what that was. Okay. That was a lot of light tricks. But that was cool, but I wouldn't want to see that become the mainstream. You know what I'm saying?
I have a quick kind of side note path to this. Now, Chris,
Okay, go ahead.
Is your wife a Star Wars fan? I'm just curious. Okay, well,
She liked Rogue One.
Okay, well, we'll just use the two hosts of the Krillcast. So here's what I'm wondering: if Disney pitched you and Will that you can be Han and Leia in Star Wars, and they'll CGI you into it, how much are you willing to pay for that?
No.
For the
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
He's gonna do it. He'll do it.
You can't pay me enough to be Han Solo in Disney Star Wars in its current state.
Oh man,
That'd be my one and done. I'd never get another role anywhere else, because they'd be like, "You're the worst actor we've ever hired," and I'd be like, "You're right."
Well, it's a thing. Star Wars seems to be a vacuum right now because what was it? The girl who played Rose can't get another job now.
Kelly Marie Tran.
And it seems like Star Wars should be your one-punch ticket to anything, but it's
John
not
Boyega
anymore. It's something
having
that
an
If you
issue.
look back at the original trilogy, though, how many
that's
people
what I was about to say.
actually had a career afterwards? I mean,
Yeah.
you got Luke playing the Joker forever, which was a cool thing. I'm glad he did it. And then you got when I say Luke, I mean Hamill. And then you've got Mr. Han Solo playing Indiana Jones, and literally just had blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster following it. But other than them two, I mean, what did Carrie Fisher do between Star Wars and then the next Star Wars?
Blues Brothers.
Yeah, but then what else?
That might actually be it.
One other movie.
I think Carrie Fisher was an awesome actress, especially in Star Wars. But really, how much of a career did she have in between Star Wars and Star Wars? Like you said, Blues Brothers.
She was a prolific script editor, so that's something she actually helped do for Empire. Okay. So that's where her career shifted. She was apparently a very great writer, and she understood the mechanics of scenes.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's something I found out fairly recently too. So I was like, "Whoa, she really was." She was still getting it done. She just wasn't the face anymore.
So I guess the real question is after that, acting roles. There wasn't nearly as many acting roles for these characters after they left Star Wars, other than Luke, Han, and Leia. And then what was hold on a second. Lando Calrissian, what actor is that? I'm trying to remember.
D. Bradley Williams.
Yes. What did he do in between Star Wars with his career? He did quite a bit, didn't he?
I think so. I couldn't tell you though.
I think he mostly went to TV shows.
I was going to say he didn't do any more. A lot more movies after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really just depends on the actor, because I think any big popular franchise you always have the individuals who go on to do really big roles. They get a lot of offers. Like you have Tom Holland is showing up in everything since he showed up in the MCU. But then, you get others that they don't really do too much outside of their one franchise that they're really well known for. So I guess it just kind of depends on the person, and I'm sure that like media campaigns and everything can definitely have an impact on all of that.
Well,
Public reaction, that sort of deal.
I guess that kind of just proves that any movie has winners and losers post movie, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
the biggest.
Hizzy Hay, you've really sidelined us here. I want to know what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie of 2021
I'll get you my favorite movie, but real quick, just on that point, like there's tons of MCU and Star Wars stuff because we can go down this rabbit hole too, but movie studios are kind of dumb sometimes where they're like, oh, hey, this person's popular, so we need to put them in this movie and then it'll make money. And I'm trying to remember that's how I kind of felt with Tomorrow War, just in the advertising, that it was like, it's Chris Pratt. It's like, all right. And like my thing, like Jurassic World has the benefit of being like, yeah, but it's Chris Pratt and wait for it, dinosaurs. And you're like, of course, I'm in, sure.
You're like on board, yeah.
Favorite movie of the okay, so here's the thing. Dan mentioned that he saw this year. How are y'all playing this year in terms of like what counts as a 2021 movie?
My preference is that it came out this year, but I guess realistically, I would include most of 2020 as part of this year if you want it to be.
Yeah.
A
lot of people didn't get the chance to see 2020 movies until 2021. To be fair,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, if it came out within the last, let's say, how about this? Within the last 18 months, we'll call it that. How about that?
Okay, because the reason I ask is the movie that like I have as my number one for like it came out in theaters in 2021, but I saw in 2020. So it's either Minari or Judas and the Black Messiah. Dude, Minari is awesome. It's got Stephen Yeun. You guys were talking about Walking Dead. A24, super awesome. And then Judas and the Black Messiah. It's on HBO Max, I think.
It was. I heard they were going to take it off.
Well, they took it off because they do the. By the way, Chris, I'm curious how you feel about this because I know you got opinions on rules about things. So HBO Max does this 45 or like 30 days. You get the movie when it comes out in theaters, and they're probably not going to do this after this year, so it doesn't matter. But then the movie's off HBO Max for like another 90 days. What are your thoughts on this?
No comment.
No comment.
But I will say the movie title in your name there, I actually wish that George Lucas had entertained the Jar Jar theory. Anyways, Hizzy Hay, what is your favorite movie?
It would be Minari, if that counts.
Minari.
But
I don't. What's that? I haven't heard of that movie actually.
it's just like a drama.
It's an A24 movie.
Yeah.
Minari.
I spelled that right. I did. Okay.
Won a bunch of, or got nominated for a bunch of Oscars.
It got nominated. It only won one.
Yeah.
Is that with the guy from Walking Dead? Glenn. You got Glenn, right?
Yeah.
I want to see that. I heard it's really good, right?
It's super awesome. The problem is like it's still okay. So here's part of the thing too, and this is what I was going to mention, and it's good we circled back on this. I guess Chris was talking about what's kind of the impact of all this stuff for movie releases, and I think one of the bigger things is I don't know if there's still a space for independent movies in theaters. And I'm very worried, and I don't even mean like just something like Minari. I'm worried about something like, because for instance, Knives Out, which like is one of those movies that everyone's like, wow, Knives Out, fun. Another movie I'd throw out like Baby Driver. They're not blockbusters, but they're like, you go to the movie and you're like, whoa, that was cool that I saw that or whatever. And Knives Out was just bought by Netflix, and I don't know. I'm just worried streaming's going to take all of these. And Minari made like $1 at the box office, so.
Yeah, because it feels like now with everything that's been going on, only the biggest name movies are going to actually attract people to go out and watch stuff in the theaters versus like before where people might just kind of like, oh, let's just pop into the movie theater or whatever.
You're bringing up a point that I wanted to ask a question about now. Actually, it's a good time.
All yours.
Movie theaters. All right, what's your guys' stance on movie theaters in 2021? And was it a good idea for me to buy one? No, I'm just kidding.
That
But-
GMC stock, man. Get the stock.
but here's the real question. Krillcast Studios launching 2022. No. Are movie theaters going to see a resurgence, or will the other resurgence prevent that from happening?
What
I don't know.
what's the other resurgence?
Well,
Like streaming, I'd assume.
no. The other resurgence being the variants. We'll call it the variants.
Oh, pirating.
No.
No, the disease,
Although
the
pirating is not helping.
What just happened?
the disease.
Oh,
Diabetes. I got you.
diabetes. Okay.
Diabetes.
Don't get diabetes.
Okay, fair enough. That's a stance we're taking on Krillcast. Gotcha. No, I was thinking about this a little bit, and I don't know what the Krillcast audience is like, but you mentioned cultivating an audience earlier. I like talking about sports with movies, and most of my audience is like, "What the heck are sports?" So people might hate me for this, and that's fine. But baseball was super popular in the 90s when everyone was doing steroids.
Only way to watch it.
And the balls were juiced, and these guys were like good. And I'm not
The
saying
balls were
movies
juiced too? Just injecting
Yes.
steroids into the ball. Just got a ripped arm as it's flying at the guy.
But my point, baseball used to be like super popular, and people keep trying to be like, oh, well, why isn't there's this guy Shohei Ohtani, and he can do it all in baseball. Like he's a prodigy in everything. People are like, well, why isn't everybody talking about this? And people don't realize like baseball is never going to be as popular as it once was. That's just how it is. And I'm very worried that like 5 years from now, like people are going to be like, yeah, the highest grossing movie this year, made $1 billion, and that's just how it is. Which I think all the blockbusters are still going to be the same. But yeah, I'm worried about theaters with like middle stuff, because Chris talked about this. We were both worried that like Disney would buy AMC or something, and they'd say, all right, F you, you got to come to our theater, like Disney theater chains, if you want to see a Disney movie or whatever. And they just, own everything they want to.
Shocked if that happened.
I'm very worried it still could happen.
They'd have
the
a
Disnopoly
monopoly
will
hearing
never be
before that.
stopped.
Yeah,
The
The Disnopoly.
They already own like 30% of the entire entertainment industry.
but it's not more than
It's not
50,
monopoly.
so it's not
Yeah.
monopoly yet. It's not monopoly.
Oh,
Did
okay.
y'all-
Okay.
Did y'all hear about Billy's rebrand for YouTube? Disnossum? He was bought out.
Just raise the voice like one octave. They'll be fine.
This is why he started Tales of Initiative. He had to leave Disnossum behind.
Dude, listen, if I get one more cease and desist from Disney, I'm over it.
Oh my! Hey,
Done.
you might know about that, but there was like a
All right.
semi-popular creator who like they would just constantly like talk about how good everything Disney did was, and then like they didn't get invited to Star Wars Celebration one year, and they like flipped their absolute shit about it. It was so good.
All right, I got a question for you guys. All right, so we've already kind of covered our favorite movies. I think Tomorrow War, honestly, I really haven't seen as many movies as I used to in the past year, but Tomorrow War takes the cake for me, even though it is like another action movie with Chris Pratt, and it was still good.
Can I throw one question to you about Tomorrow War?
Go ahead.
Do you think certain parts of it were reshot later?
It's possible.
Okay, because there's something specifically with one of the actors.
I think they shot it tomorrow.
Jeez.
I don't want to spoil the movie for people, but
Yeah, we're not gonna say it.
I could see that. I also saw some like inconsistencies in the writing that I kind of just shrugged off. Like, okay, it's still a good movie, even though I think this writing was not very good in some parts. Like, there's a relationship between there's a father-daughter relationship in there that I'm not going to spoil too much about because I don't want to ruin it. But there was a part where it's described in the future what had happened. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no way.
Chris, as a father, would have done it better, is what we're saying.
No.
No, I'm joking.
There was nothing in the writing hinting at what happened. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
It was like totally out of left field, in my opinion.
So I'll actually DM you spoiler things after this. But I don't know. That Tomorrow War, like I wasn't as high on it. But
thought it
like,
was
I'd be fine if they wanted to do like a franchise or whatever. Because guess what? Like this is like a independent, big budget. Like I just look.
Amazon bought it from Paramount. What are you talking about?
I know. No, but I mean, it's not based on something. Like it's just a big budget, stupid. Like let's just do a sci-fi thing. And I like the Marvel movies. I like Star Wars. Okay, but I want just a stupid like, hey, we got Vin Diesel and he's an ogre. Come see it this fall. You know you want to.
Fast and Furious 9. We've got a Fast and Furious 9.
We've got
just paint him green for
during World War II. Hey, let's just do
green.
it.
I want Vin Diesel to be in a Dragon Ball Z movie. Okay, I want
him
to be Piccolo.
We don't. Nope. It's that's burn bridges. We don't talk.
Okay, never mind.
I'm in Japan. I know the rules. We don't.
Okay. Never mind.
They're knocking at the door now.
All right. Back to what I was getting to. Do you guys think that the like iron fist that movie companies rule copyright with on public commentary hurts movies?
Oh, that Iron Fist. I thought you were talking about the Marvel.
No.
Wait, what?
That was an atrocious series that I would.
We all know the most popular character in Marvel.
No, I am curious. Do you think that the iron fist that these movie companies and production companies rule with on YouTube commentary and anywhere? Actually, I was just looking at the other day. There was a website that we used to post to that actually just got they basically got axed by the BBC because there was too much. There's too many movies on there that were uncredited and unpaid for. So they're like, hey, you need to like actually rein this in. Anyways, that's a totally different story. But do you think that the fact that they rule against all, like, let's say you put out a commentary on Tomorrow War, what do you think the chances are you get a copyright strike on your channel or a copyright hit on your channel for covering that?
What kind of copyright strike? Like that? It's such a vague term. So
let's say you use like 10 minutes of footage, but you space it out pretty well and do transformative work on it. I bet you 9 times out of 10, you're still going to get this movie company at the very least claiming the video before you plead with them to take the copyright claim off of it.
But the content ID is automatic. That's the thing. It's not some dude who's like, yes, I'm going to shut down all. It's like there's so much content released on YouTube. Like, and no, because I have to fight this every single time. Yeah. And it's the problem is I want my vision, this thing that I've created, to get out there and the way I envisioned it to be. And I want people to understand that, but I also kind of understand the other perspective, which is the fact that in order for my vision to work, I have to rely on resources to convey what I'm trying to say that weren't generated by me. So there's kind of a trade-off, and I have to manipulate. We have to game the system sometimes, but I can't begrudge them on some level needing to automate the process, which means that there's a lot of nuance taken out of it. There's someone can't look at every single video ever released and say, is this transformative? Does it hit these check marks, right? But what I can say is I think there are places which are very, as you said, iron fisty about it. So Japan just arrested 3 YouTubers for copyright violation. Not fined, arrested. As in they're going to jail for copyright violation. That's where I'm like, okay, we have to be a little more careful.
I don't.
Was the movie Boss Baby 2 they were arrested for?
It was actually the Dragon Ball movie. And,
okay, perfect. And they were praising it. They were like, it's actually pretty good.
It's treason then. They're just getting out the flogs.
Yeah.
SpyV,
I would say, like, in terms of it actually affecting movie performance, I think at absolute most, all a YouTube commentator is going to be to companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, and Amazon is an annoying little gnat that they have to swat away. And other than, like, be it positive or negative, I really don't think YouTube has much of an impact at all on the performance of their movies. I really don't think it does. It certainly won't give them a good reputation within the community, but then I don't think they really care all that much about what the community thinks of them as long as they continue racking in their mountains and mountains and mountains of cash on the backs of Chinese labor camps. So, we're just gonna, it's just gonna be like that, especially with Disney.
I guess, right. And not the not the last part that I'm pushing back on, just to be clear. But I guess the thing, like, I argue a little bit about that is specifically with like the Marvel shows, at least the way they're trying to cultivate more of an audience, more people talking about them. That's definitely like all the people that are like making videos about like, oh, this episode on WandaVision or whatever. And everybody's talking about, the 50 dozen Easter eggs you missed about, look, Doctor Strange's purse is actually in the background or whatever, and all these different things. Here's the thing that I was going to throw out to you, Chris, because you are in the video game space. For instance, also the great fellas at /frag do Let's Plays. How many have they ever been content ID'd for a Let's Play?
You can be. It's kind of hard. Like, for example, I will say this.
I opened up TikTok and it made noise.
For example, and it's kind of a bad example only because the reason he got flagged wasn't because he played the game. It was more of a disagreement with his social commentary. PewDiePie got hit for playing that. I don't remember. It was like some kind of firefight walking game where you're like walking through a forest that's on fire, I think. I don't remember what it was, but essentially the creator just didn't like something PewDiePie had said, and so he revoked his ability to Let's Play it on live, and basically like,
wow.
And technically video game companies have that ability, but it's not marketable to do that. So like, let's say somebody's Let's Playing your game and you don't like that person, you could like cherry pick and say, no, not you, and then copyright ID him, as long as they show enough of the, like, for example, Last of Us 2. If you don't want to spoil the end of Last of Us 2, then Sony could come in and say, no, you can't put this footage on. And for example, Atlas actually did that with Persona 5.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. So like, we don't want the story leaking before enough people have played it. And like now, for example, I think Johnny Awesome actually has played all of Persona 5 on his channel, and Atlas has allowed that. It's like, yes, video game companies can do it. It doesn't usually work in their benefit to do that, but they can. And they have done it.
So to do a comparison, I guess, almost to that is one of the things like with some of these shows is now I have to, and not even shows, movies at this point too, and because I don't watch trailers too. And there's people that will like post stuff like on YouTube because I want to avoid certain things, like spoiler in the thumbnail. It'll be like, look, Dragon Ball Evolution, guess what? It's bad. And it's like, now I know how the movie turned out. Or but I wonder if there will ever be an effort to be like, oh, well, we don't want any like reaction videos to our season finale until like everybody has seen it or whatever. And then on top of that, I think eventually like there will be something about like people just watching like a movie or a show, like they'll just be allowed to do it and like won't be ID'd because you're just watching it. Because it's a similar thing with the game. Like theoretically, you're playing like with that person, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're not usually, and it's a little bit different in the space of games, but usually you're not going to watch that with, like you're not going to play the game after. Or maybe, in fairness, like sales probably do go up with certain ones, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff.
See, I just think that movies and video games like operate very different the YouTube space. I think games can like live or die off of popular YouTubers playing them, and then people are like, oh, that looks fun, I want to go play that. Whereas I feel like there is not near that amount of drive, because like I said, when people play a game, there's like friend interaction. It's not just like a straight up, hey, let's like review this video game. Like that stuff isn't popular. I'm sure it exists, but compared to just like gameplay of a bunch of friends fucking around or whatever, that's the stuff that's popular. That's the stuff that makes people go, okay, now I want to go play this game.
Actually, Spy, you might be wrong about that.
Am I?
There's a pretty big segment of the gaming community that would rather just see a straight review of a video game.
Yeah,
and that's because a lot of times these games come out and then people wait for that first week so that they get like past all the IGN like insider reviews, and they get to like and they get to people like for example, the completionist might play through a game, or let's say like even like somebody like Dan reviews Halo 5 2 years after it comes out, or 3 years, whatever it was, the story, and says it's bad. Like somebody's like, okay, I'm thinking about getting Halo 5, type in Halo 5 on YouTube, And then Dan's like, the story was bad. Here's what it should have been. And you're like, I'm never playing this game now. Dan just totally turned me off of Halo 5. You know what I mean? Like that stuff happens.
I have no doubt that stuff happens. I'm sure it happens, but I just think that the most popular parts of the gaming community are the parts that are more let's play, like Jacksepticeye, Markiplier. They don't do like reviews of the games that they do. They're just playing and fun. Like that's how Among Us got super popular.
Well, yeah,
that's the thing. They're entertainers, but every super popular gaming channel that I've seen has pretty much fallen into like that category of entertainers. Like that's how Among Us got like super popular, is because those types of guys started playing the game. Whereas I don't think that it works quite the same way as someone just sitting down and being like, hey guys, this movie's great, go watch it. You're gonna still get people who are like, oh yeah, I'll go see it now, but I don't think it's I just don't think there's the same type of phenomena that happens the way it does with games and stuff like that.
But I will say, on the other hand, a movie might review really poorly, and I'm like, okay, time for a B-rated popcorn movie where I take a shot every time somebody does something stupid.
Well, wait, okay, so here's my question, I guess, is almost to the Among Us point. If there were like a movie that were like so good it's bad, that like
Sharknado.
Sure, Sharknado, and they're like, oh well, let any YouTuber like post as much footage as they want, because all of that like is actually going to get attention like to our terrible movie. So for instance, movie studios actually like started getting keyed in on this. And one of the movie, Chris, you can look this up on IMDb if you want. There's a movie called Gotti with John Travolta.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hey.
How do you spell it?
Gotti. And he's a New Yorker, and he's a big gangster. They thought they had Martin Scorsese. They had Martin, not that. I can't come up with a good.
Nailed it. Anyway, you nailed it, hey.
Thank you.
Nailed that punchline.
But the funny thing about it is, I'm pretty sure they made their whole marketing campaign based on having a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That they were like, see what the critics were wrong about or whatever, and people were finding out. Like, I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure they paid off critics so it would have a 0, because it's very difficult. Like with all of the Rotten Tomatoes people, it's very difficult to have a straight up 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, their marketing campaign was like, it's awful, you have to see it. So I'm curious if like more movie studios will ever do that.
Oh no! I mean, I know that type of shit happens. I mean, look at any new movie, or look at any movie that Red Letter Media has talked about on Best of the Worst. Like that still happens for sure. I just don't think it's quite. I just think that it's. I feel like what happens with movies and what happens with games are like they're like slightly different fields and contexts that are happening.
Well, this propel
it.
Do you think there would ever be like someone? So in the movie space, and this is you guys were talking about this, and I thought both Dan and Spy really hit the nail on the head about the movie community is kind of way more segmented than the games community, because they're way more closer, and there's a lot of different pockets for movie stuff. So the only thing, do you think there could ever be a movie? So Among Us was out for like 8 months or something like that. So do you think there could be a movie that like was out, wasn't popular, and then 8 months later everyone is talking about it because 5 big like movie YouTubers like all discovered it? And if so, if we all get big, which movie are we picking to make the big boy?
Miami Connection is what I would do. Hey, I would review the hell out of Miami Connection, because it's so. Have you guys seen Miami Connection? Yes,
I have not. I'm adding it to my watch list right now.
Miami Connection is a movie that I watched, and like you sit there and your eyes just keep getting bigger, and you're not sure if you're in reality anymore, and if it's just an elaborate joke, but it's not. Like you sense the earnestness of it, and I can't even like they have a it's the king of B movies. Watch this movie, everyone, tonight. It's got ninjas, it's got rock bands, it's got a biker gang for some reason, and it's got taekwondo. That's all you need. Taekwondo.
Kung Fury, baby.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Kung Fury is a good one too. This
Kung
looks
Pao.
like a great double feature with and Kung Pao is like one of my favorite movies. Not even joking.
Here you go. Here's the movie I want to blow up. It's basically Death by Chocolate, but it's a B-rated zombie movie from the 90s. Oh no, this isn't it. This isn't it. Forget I said this. This is not the one. That's not the one.
That genre said adult.
I just saw what it said. That's not it. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one.
Oh boy.
The stuff.
Oh,
I clicked the wrong one. I clicked the wrong one. Here it is. I found it. This is it.
Can we go back to the other one?
This is the one. No, we're not going back to that one.
I don't think
The Stuff is actually such a good B movie.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
so good. It's so good.
I don't think
literally
I have
typed in
a
the
movie.
stuff on YouTube, and that other thing came up first. So this movie's doing something wrong if it's being ranked below that one. Like that's a problem.
It's a problem is because this movie was taken out of context by everyone.
Yeah.
What now?
And so it plummeted, but it actually is like a legitimately good movie.
This is my movie I'm making famous if I ever get famous.
There you go. Spy, what was your favorite? You don't have a favorite B movie?
No, well, okay, I do have a favorite B movie, but when someone ever says something that's like obscure and kind of bad that you would want to bring mainstream, it's not a movie that comes to mind. It's a TV show that I watched that was horrific. And for some reason, I was obsessed with it. And I watched it religiously when I was like 14 or 15. I would watch that show. No, I would watch the show and then I would complain about it to my friends who did not watch the show, and then I would happily watch it the next week and do it all over again. And it was called Dominion, and it is like this terrible apocalypse, like science fiction that is so insurmountably stupid and yet fascinating that I can't even really describe it. It's about like hell opens up and no, it's not hell, it's heaven opens up, and there are all these angels who are basically just demons, but they call them angels, who are like completely fucking the world over. And there's this one dude who's like the chosen one, and then he's not in the show like 90% of the time for some goddamn reason. And we just follow around all these other various side characters while they do dumb stuff. I watched it so much, and they canceled it after a cliffhanger on season 2, and I'm still upset about it.
I do hate that. You know what Red versus Blue always did very well? I'm sorry, I know it sounds like I'm shifting gears. I'm not. Red versus Blue always gave you a cliffhanger, but always tied itself up at the end. And I think that's something all series need to learn, is that you can both leave you wanting more and lay hints for further adventures, but still tie up everything just in case the likely chance you're going to be canceled. And
oh yeah, like no, season 2 pulled out like the end of season 2 pulled out the damn Lucifer is real and let's explore that card, and then it just never got renewed. And I was like, fuck. Okay, yeah, okay, you don't want to. You're not going to care about spoilers.
I was going to watch Dominion.
The best director ever.
Oh my god, it's Neil Breen. Oh my god,
this guy is going to make the best comeback of 2021.
Chris, this actually is a really great point. Because people like one of the ones that comes to mind is like YMS, both for Neil Breen movies and like Cool Cat. Like Neil Breen has kind of embraced like people memeing his movies, and he's like, whatever, I make money on this, I don't care. Whereas the Cool Cat guy is insane. Copyright strike like everybody's, and this kind of circles back to what I was talking about. But like, some people kind of have to have like hindsight. It would be like if the Among Us, like the creators of Among Us, were like, "Well, we don't want you talking about our game." It's like, wait, why?
Among Us is a bad example, though. You can't spoil Among Us. Like, there's no point.
You can't spoil Cool Cat.
Dan is sus. Dan is sus. Everybody imposter. No,
this is true. I am sus.
No, I will.
Listen, they already made an Among Us movie. It's called John Carpenter's The Thing.
Is successful because of YouTube and people memeing on his videos. I think anybody who could garner this much attention for the movies he produced, and I'm not saying that he's the worst producer ever, but he's definitely not the best. Okay, I think what he's done to build success was extremely smart.
Yeah, but I would say the difference. Here's how I would say the difference between someone like Neil Breen versus like Among Us is. I feel like if I went to my grandmother and was like, "Hey, have you heard of Among Us?" She'd be like, "Oh, that's the one with the little red guy and they run over." Like she would know because it's gotten like so far reached that she would probably have an idea of what Among Us is. If I was like, "Hey, Grandma, you ever watched a Neil Breen movie?" She'd be like, "Who?" Like I feel like Breen exists in popularity within the community more widespread, but I feel like shit like Among Us just goes like viral essentially. Like that spreads its tentacles, and that was a bad word to use there. It spreads its roots everywhere.
It's like a tentacle ASMR coming your way.
Oh God,
This
no.
again, I guess is to my point. Do you think that's in part because like the gaming community is like better, like they have a better flow of like information or like
Well, I also
togetherness?
think it's I also think that the gaming community also appeals to younger children more than the movie community. Because
That's
Among Us is something that
true.
can be played by younger kids and then younger. Well, I mean, it's not that there aren't like teenagers or maybe like preteens who are into movies, but like if I make a video essay that gets really popular on like The Lighthouse, there aren't going to be like 5 to 10-year-olds like, "Grandma, I watched this great video about this movie where this guy jerks off to a mermaid statue. It's really good." But
Whoa,
but
that
he is
escalated
gonna-
quickly.
oh yeah, that happens in the movie.
That
It's not
happens in the movie.
but a 5 to 10-year-old is gonna be like, "Grandma, there's like this cool game where you run around and red is sus," like that's gonna happen. And I feel like kids drive a lot of that type of popularity stuff with older people.
Anybody in this stream who's actually looked at their analytics, what would you say the average age of your viewer is? I'm curious. I'm generally curious.
Okay, wait.
35 is my most popular.
I have a quick question that I have not known for the longest time, and at a certain point, I was too afraid to ask. If we click the box that says your content is not made for kids, you don't get analytics for kids, right? Is that including like 13?
No, you
18?
still.
Or
Because
17?
I check that box on every.
I check
video,
on everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I still get 13 to 17-year-olds watching.
Okay.
Yes.
I have literally no, and it doesn't matter, but it's just the fact it's at like 0. I'm like, really? Not one 17-year-old was like, "Oh, I'll check out this weirdo's thoughts on Avatar." I don't know. No, let me check. My ratio stuff got super scrambled from a Dylan O'Brien thing, but I think it's 24.
I just found out recently that you can see, once you get a partner, you can see what other channels people that watch your channel watch. And I was like, that's really interesting because literally all they watch is Halo. Like every YouTube channel that my audience also watches only watches Halo YouTubers. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be a... Anyways, Will was right. We are a Halo podcast. Anyways, here's what I just found out that was interesting. The bulk of my audience is split between like 18 to 24-year-olds and 25 to 34-year-olds. I'll show you right here. I will admit it on here. Look at that.
It's a good demographic.
Whoa, wait, hold up, Chris.
Where are all the women, Chris?
A crazy sausage fest is going on.
This is the last 28 days. Hold up.
Still, Chris. Oh my God, women.
Because for lifetime, it gets longer.
Look,
150% men.
0.8%.
Oh my
Apparently,
God.
we do not appeal to women in like the least.
My gender thing used to be pretty evenly split, and then I made that creep show video, and now it's like 80-20, like towards female. I was like,
Really?
yeah.
That's
But
interesting.
47% of my audience is 18 to 24. So I'm almost 50% in the young adult age category.
The people that watch my show are basically my age, 25 to 34.
Yeah, I guess same for me.
So wait, but here's I guess my question. I'm curious if Dan and Spy and JC, if Mike's working, are in a similar boat. And this my 13 to 17 thing went up to 0.9%, so bravo to myself. But here's the thing. Sometimes when I like check my analytics, and maybe it's because I'm on past 28 days, so let me up it to 90. But like it drops off a cliff every time past the 35 range. It's at 3% right now, but usually it's like 1
I have 8.4% right now for 13 to 17.
Hey, I got 0.2% for 65 plus. I want to know who's watching my podcast.
I have 0.9.
What do you
really
mean?
want to know. Grandma, are you watching? Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys a little peek behind there. I didn't even realize the ratio of male to female was that bad on my channel, but apparently it is that bad on my channel.
My ratio of not subscribed to subscribe is awful.
Yeah,
ours
it's
is
worse,
pretty
isn't
bad
it?
now. It was better before, but ever since we started the live show, apparently people are just tuning in because there's a live show on Saturday nights. It's like, oh, okay. And especially when we did Halo, my goodness, we were at like 150 people watching, and it said like only 1% were subscribed that night. I was like, what? Only 1% were actually subscribed watching? That's insane. Anyways, I'm gonna close this out before I reveal too much about our channel, like how many millions of dollars Will's raking in.
You guys want to know? So I had a quick question about revenue because we talked about copyright strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all ever been struck like copyright stuff when your video like is making a decent amount of money?
No.
Or like doing well? Okay. I like mine recently, like that's what happened to me. I don't know if it's updated or not, but basically like when the Bo Burnham video I had like was blowing up, it like midway through when they released the music on Spotify, like 2 days prior, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to take this because you used 3 seconds of our song. I was like, no, this is fair use or whatever. But I had to wait because it's the 30-day thing. And of course they were going to wait the whole time, all that stuff. And now YouTube, and I don't think this is normally how it's supposed to go. YouTube was like, because the 30 days was over, and I was like, cool, I get the money in my estimated revenue. And they're like, no, you got to wait till August 15th, and then we'll update it. And I was like, what? Why? Like, so have fun with that if y'all ever.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Yeah, like, the only copyright I've gotten like content ID'd incorrectly. Like I keep getting like claims for a song that I never used in my videos, which is fun. And then one time I just got ID'd by like a scam company that didn't even own the rights to the movie.
That happened to me one time too. Yeah, for sure.
So I sent them a strongly worded request to knock it off and take the claim off, and they did. So
yeah, I had like a mass one of those where like some one channel like that did 10 of them. I was like, and I said like in my rebuttal thing for one of them, I was like, just look at like the 10 of these. They don't own Star Wars and all of anime. Like that's.
So we got actually struck by Disney directly on our Little Mermaid parody, by the way. That did happen. And Dan, you're not missing what much? 50 cents per month right now. Anyways. Dan's like 50 cents. No. Not 50 cent. We're not
rappers. 2 gumballs.
Anyways, back to what I'm saying. We actually won by just sending them a strongly worded letter, like saying, "Hey, look, this is a parody. Parodies pass through a court all the time. Like you like, it's transformative. Like Weird Al exists."
But so I guess okay. So here's what I'm wondering. Like, because we have 5 people here right now. So would anyone ever, if you made a thing, and I think Dan was kind of hitting this idea, but if you made a thing, and I'm not saying a parody, because if someone made like a goofy song like y'all did, I would be like, oh, this is awesome. And clearly Disney's a big company, so they're like, why is Chris making a Little Mermaid parody? How dare he? But like, what, like, do you think there's a certain level of or like acknowledgement or respect that we'd have to have where someone was like, oh, well, I don't want you to use like this footage like in this video, like because you use a decent amount, is because if it came straight from the creator, which is usually never going to happen, but like that would feel very different than like I'm trying to think of who owns Avatar.
Oh, you're saying like instead of Disney coming after you, like what if James Cameron from Avatar movie came in and said, "Hey, please don't."
Yeah, please take this down or whatever. Then I'm saying, me personally, I'd be like,
I think
I
what I would
guess,
do is I'd say,
man.
hey, come on my show for an interview, and I'll
And we
take it
can talk
down.
Chris knows how to leverage that stuff to get interviews, man. Guys,
Hey,
networks like crazy.
I'm working on some pretty cool interviews coming up here. It's some like actual like film and music producers that are relatively famous. We'll see if they happen. But somebody I did recently reach out to, if you're curious about the people we're working with right now. Does anybody remember the Microwave Show from years ago?
no.
Where they like microwave this, they microwave like a Furby or whatever.
Oh my God.
Like way back in the
Traumatizing.
day. No, it was like an OG YouTuber that got millions of views back in like the early days of YouTube.
Well, it sounds like the dude that used to like he'd smack the egg in a bowl and like.
No,
throw a bunch
that's
of stuff.
How To Basic, and that's still
Yeah.
super popular channel.
I didn't know they were still kicking, but
There's a lot of
microwaving-
conspiracy theories as to who's behind that channel. Anyways, no, this is like one of the OG YouTubers.
I think How To
we
Basic.
might
is-
be bringing that channel on. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
really cool.
That's a solid
But
get.
How To Basic is Bezos, and that's how he got his money. To start Amazon.
God.
That's my theory.
SpyV is actually Bezos. No,
I knew it.
very strong voice modulation software.
Oh boy, let me tell you, I have some thoughts about Mr. Bezos. We're not going to get into
Yeah, we're not
that,
going to get
though.
there.
No, it's
Although I
not.
will say the one good thing about Bezos, the only good thing that I can think of
That's an oxymoron of a statement, Chris.
is his, no, just hear me out. I thought that what they did with The Expanse was really good, and then I found out like Bezos himself like has gone on set for that show and like you will not change the book's plot, you will not do this, do not do that, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Really?
Yeah, so like he's a huge fan of The Expanse, and so because of him they've not gone too far off of what the books did.
Well, okay. So look,
It's interesting though, like when you have like this billionaire guy in charge of a company that happens to have a streaming service, and they're like,
well, but they also
they
have a movie production too, and
They
one
do.
of the things that's
I
weird is
understand
like
that.
they have the Lord of the Rings thing that they're like trying
Yeah,
to push.
I'm not sure about that one.
I'm also not sure about that, and they have invested a lot of money, but like all the other, so like A24 used to be like partially owned or partially like working or owned. The streaming license was owned by Amazon, so all their movies would instantly come there. So I don't know. Amazon has weird movies that they're like, we need to get this or whatever. So I'm curious. Is Bezos a cinephile? Is that what we're learning today?
He's
No,
a
I think.
pedophile. He's a
Well, think about
pedophile.
what the business was built of. It was built off of books. I bet
Yeah.
you Bezos reads a lot.
It could be true.
Maybe.
So, like for example, how would he have known about The Expanse before they got the show and sort of? Well, it was produced, I think, 2 seasons by somebody else first, if I'm not mistaken, and then Amazon got it. I'm not 100% positive about that, but like there has been other transfers over the years of one show to another place. Like for example, Stargate SG-1 went from was it Stars or one of those shows all the way to Sci-Fi. So it went from like this
Showtime.
It went from Showtime to Sci-Fi, and so they went from full frontal nudity to no nudity at all. From season 1 to season.
And
2 or 3.
Chris sent a strongly worded letter about that.
No, I recently found.
I'm joking.
Here's the thing: I found out because I watched it on Netflix, and the Sci-Fi version of episode 1 had no nudity in it at all, and that's the only one I had seen. So I'm watching it. My wife's like, "Oh, it's a relatively family-friendly show, and you know, there's no nudity, no."
There's a
weird
lot
things."
of that.
And then I watched episode 1, and I was like, "WTF is this?"
Did you ever like on cable? Did you watch like any like R-rated movies that were made for cable?
Yeah.
The only reason I
yeah.
ask it is I
I have a really great example of that. Let me tell you.
Go for it.
Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh,
My family
yeah.
and I watched that every year on TV. My parents got the idea, let's buy the DVD one year, and we
Oh
watched
yeah, they
that.
changed shit.
Oh,
They changed shit.
my gosh.
I imagine they take out all the part with his like fantasy woman and like that
Oh,
whole
yeah.
scene at the
All
pool
of it's
and
gone.
everything.
And then all
yeah.
the swearing's gone. It's been replaced
Yes.
with interesting, ooh, I like this, Dan. What is going on here? You're
Showtime
muted.
isn't
You're
even
muted.
a
Oh my
movie.
You're
God,
muted.
Bezos.
He's muted.
Bezos,
He's
you're
muted.
muted.
I am not mute. I am just operating at a higher level that you cannot hear.
It's like a dog whistle.
Okay, perfect.
That is annoying as one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you guys this? 2021, if you could bring back any movie franchise or TV series this year,
Dominion.
what would it be?
If we could
I'll
bring
come up with a
back
serious
series?
answer.
Any series.
I'll come back up with a serious answer.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Wait, so real quick, just making sure. Is it continuing like where they left off? Because, for instance,
However you
want to
do it. However you want to do it.
Oh, Firefly's a good pick. Except Joss
Yeah,
Whedon's.
solid.
Yeah, fair. But my sister would just like die if they brought that show back. That was her favorite show ever.
So well, I know Spy probably is. I don't know about Dan, but are y'all familiar with Genndy Tartarovsky? He was the creator of Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab,
Yep.
Powerpuff Girls, Primal recently. Dude, he had this show that I loved called Symbiotic Titan. And I adored it. I thought it was super awesome. It came on Cartoon Network. I was like, wow, this show is so cool. And then I got to the last episode. I was like, man, I guess like it's just gonna, it's just a little slower show, and that's fine. And then they're kind of like setting up stuff for like a second season. Yes, sir. Okay. They're setting up stuff for like more episodes to come. So literally, when Spy was talking about Dominion and cliffhangers, this ends right when like everything is about to happen, and I was like, no, where's the next episode? Where's the next episode? And the thing is, Gendy's been doing Primal. He still makes money from the Hotel Transylvania movies. He has another show coming this year.
He's Hotel Transylvania?
He is, and that's why
that makes so much sense.
That's why he's allowed to make Primal afterwards, because he's getting that cash money from these hotel. And I honestly think like animators should like look at that as like a lesson and be like, all right, let's make Boss Baby 3 and get that cha-ching, and then we can make the more avant-garde adult thing that we want to do or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Look, I'll voice act in a Minions movie if I need to.
Dan or Mr. Jeff Bezos, what would you like to bring back?
Just remember, whatever I say, it becomes. I just have that much money. But I was actually going through a list of canceled shows. So off the top of my head, I'm torn on this one. It's probably my favorite show, but Arrested Development. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Of course, Jessica Walter just passed away recently, so obviously there.
Oh my gosh, I did not hear about this.
About her passing?
Yeah, I did not hear about that.
Because most of the articles that covered it talked about her on Archer, because that's the most recent things that she's been doing. So it's actress from Archer has passed on. I would love to bring back the Daredevil Marvel series, especially Daredevil, but the Netflix Marvel series, especially Daredevil. I think Daredevil was amazing.
Did that get canceled because of Netflix's deal with Disney, or did that get canceled because Disney just didn't want to do it?
Oh no, it's because of the deal. So
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Ozarks is getting canceled after 4 seasons. But
oh really? I did not hear about that.
Are you guys watching Ozarks? Because that show is amazing.
I've heard it's great, but
I watched a couple of. Here's the problem. All right, and you guys probably don't have this issue, but basically the amount of time I have to watch films is always at odds with the amount of time I have to play video games, because those are when I watch films that I want to watch and not films that my wife and I both want to watch. It's that short period of time I have where I'm still awake and nobody else in the family is. So that time is a crunch time for me to decide video game or passive movie watching. Sometimes it's both, very rarely, but then I'm not really paying attention to either. So there's a problem there. But Ozark is one I tried for a couple episodes with my wife and then never continued on after that.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to. I always put it this way. Ozarks is Arrested Development. It's exactly the same show, except for one is serious. And even Jason Bateman is like, oh yeah, no, all the characters are pretty much the same, except for one is a comedy and the other is this very, very serious drama. But they're going through the same things, and they're stumbling through life. They're all failing superbly, and it's both of these shows are so special to me because I can overlap them as well, and it's hilarious. I don't know. I just love that.
I will say I wouldn't I wouldn't be like shocked if there was a season 4 of Daredevil announced.
Oh, I would love it, man. I want to see him in the whatever the most recent multiverse movie
Chris,
is.
Dominion was a joke, even though I
Oh,
would
okay.
probably unironically,
What's your actual answer then, SpyV?
Okay,
What's your actual answer?
even though I would actually probably celebrate a little bit if that came out and absolutely watch it, but I really want Gravity Falls back.
Oh, yeah.
I love Gravity Falls. It's so
Is there a continuation that
good.
makes sense for that show though? Because that was kind of like a limited series.
They did find a good way to end it, but you could do so much with the concept and the universe, and I think Alex Hirsch could do more with it. And I'm like,
Okay.
I love that show. I think you could still do a lot with it, especially with someone like him in the head. Also, I want
but
to.
so few shows get a good end.
Season
is a problem,
7
and Gravity
through
Falls did.
8. Oh yeah, for sure. But I just really love the show. It was so good.
What about you, JC? What show are you bringing back?
If I had to go on the Marvel trend, I'd say Punisher was my favorite of all of those.
Yeah, but you don't have to. So what else? What else would you like?
Yeah.
To see?
Well, the thing is, I already got my favorite show continued and finished because of Clone Wars. I was heartbroken when it stopped on the Cartoon
that
Network.
was a good one.
And so I literally got my dream answered for me
Okay.
with Clone Wars. So I'll have to say my wishful thinking finally became a reality with Clone Wars, but that would have been my pick up until they actually rebooted it.
See, I've got two shows that were canceled as I was watching them back in the day that I would, or maybe not even back in the day, but recently, that I'm still angry about. There was one called How to Make It in America. It was an HBO show, and it actually had Kid Cudi playing in the show. It had like
Really?
it had like three.
Kid Cudi's actually a pretty good actor.
Let's see here. I think it's got to be this one. But they were like on the road to making a business work in America, and then it just got canceled. And then I was stuck watching Entourage for however many seasons that ran for. But
Oh yeah.
I really liked this show far better than that. And then there's another one called it was the actor from not Unaccepted, but Undeclared. That's the show. You remember Undeclared? Any of you guys seen that one? It was essentially the same style of show as Freaks and Geeks, but in like a college atmosphere by the same director, producer. It was a really good show in my opinion, personally. And it had a lot of great actors in it too. And then the third one, I've got one last one, I promise this is the last one. Did you guys ever watch the Limitless movie?
I know there's a Limitless show. If that's where you're going.
Yeah, but it got canceled.
I didn't know it got canceled.
It only made it like a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
But it was really ramping up to something really cool. And then all of a sudden, like, nope, this is done. And I was like, no, because this was like my Psych fix after Psych died. It felt a lot like Psych. But
here's the only thing: if you were, because I would assume the reason this is a lot of some of what we're talking about with canceled shows. If you're a movie production studio and you're working on a movie a TV show, there might be a vibe that like y'all are going to be done after this season. So do you think like the writers are, and this is where you get we need to jump the shark thing and have this big thing. And that's why it often like happens. And then of course the movie studio's like, well, we're not going to pay for the next season or whatever. And then they're like, all right, well, we'll make you care. The answer, I actually take back I have another answer. Infinity Train deserves a season 5.
Oh yeah.
I want Owen to. I mean, people want 8 seasons of it, but they basically like need one more season or a movie. And it's been basically like, I'm not going to say it's at the same level because the Snyder people are on a different level. But there's give Infinity Train a new season, like trending hashtag every now and then. And it did really well like the first time. So I think Warner Bros. Like kind of had to look at their spreadsheet and be like, and here's like, honestly, because I said this would happen and it's weird because this is a show I like. So I've tweeted about this. Look, I'm not going to lie because I want another season. But at the same time, like because the Snyder Cut thing, like there is a precedent for like, hey, if enough people tweeted about Firefly, and because who owns the rights to Firefly? Is there like a studio that? Okay, interesting. I just mean like if a group of individuals banded together enough to complain about it on Twitter for Firefly season 2,
this is Hay begging for it to happen.
Exactly, and oh man, and I think people will. It'll come back down to earth a little bit because with the Snyder Cut, like so many people asked me like, hey, why is there another Justice League? I was like, well, it's not another Justice League. It's like a different version of what it was originally. And I had to explain it to so many different other people. So
I'm just waiting for the David Ayer cut of Bright, personally.
No, you're not.
I've made several tweets about it. I'm talking about. I want it to happen.
That's fair.
So, given that we all have obviously series that we enjoyed that died for whatever reason at the time, how many shows do you think that were planned to be produced this year, other than ones that were canceled for other reasons? Like I think didn't Cops get canceled after like however many seasons that was going?
I don't even know.
Yeah, that was a completely different reason why that one got cut. But avoiding those circumstances, do you think that the pandemic?
Paw Patrol is next.
Paw Patrol. No, all right. Listen here.
Yeah.
Do you think the pandemic will cause the cancellation of some of these shows? Because, like for example, Blue Blood survived, other than other reasons, but it survived the pandemic, obviously. Yeah. Do you think other shows will get canceled, and or like what shows do you think are on the verge of being canceled just due to filming?
I don't know. I'm not even gonna lie.
Because Disney announced a boatload of movies last year that still haven't been.
If they're not canceled, definitely delayed. Yeah. There's going to be such a big gap where it's basically probably going to go into reruns again, like rerun territory.
Going to see Seinfeld for the 5,000th time.
Yeah, let's watch all 10 seasons of Friends again.
Well, I assumed the Game of Thrones series, like the spin-off stuff, I think they were supposed to start filming in 2020, like towards the end of 2020. But still, I think Last of Us, the series, was also a similar thing where they were supposed to start casting and all that stuff early 2020, and then they had to push it back because they were like, all right, we can't get anybody in.
That's going to be an interesting one because of the actress that they cast to play Ellie. If she gets too old looking, they might have to. Well, I mean, I know that sounds funny, but it's also like a legitimate concern depending on how much they get delayed.
Spy makes a good point because one of the things, this is actually a great point. I'm sure all of the writers for Stranger Things season 4 are like, poop, these kids like aged another stinking year, so let's rewrite it to one of them's taller and now he's got glasses or whatever. And that's I didn't even
like they're 25 now.
Yeah.
Well, for example, didn't they think about recasting some of the Harry Potter actors and actresses at one point in time? It's a legitimate thing where like the age can affect the ability to film.
You can also just be like Percy Jackson and not even give a fuck from the beginning.
unless it's animated, then
that's true.
Do whatever you want.
Speaking of people that like do voice acting, like the voice actor, the guy that does all of the Halo announcements, that guy is way older than I thought he was. Like when you hear his voice, did you see the Vine that they put out of him recently? Like I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is a lot older than I thought he was. Let me see if I can find it.
No, he looks like he's probably in like his late 70s.
And
his voice is awesome. Like I wish I had a voice like his.
No, but real quick with the question while Chris is looking that up. Some of the shows, like the Marvel stuff, Marvel at a certain point, like with like pausing everything, they were like, well, we're missing out on like too much money. And like I liked some of WandaVision. I had some problems with it. But as soon as they started kind of explaining like things that happened and how they had to like kind of shift stuff around because they were filming like during a pandemic, I think there's going to be a lot of shows where like it's similar to Tomorrow War, where we were talking about Tomorrow War, Chris, where it's like that doesn't make sense, but There he is.
That's the voice of the Halo announcing. That's him.
That's crazy.
I was shocked when I heard him announce. I was like, oh my gosh, that's him. That's amazing.
And he still sounds the same.
He does. Yeah, this guy's a legend.
Living his best life, man.
Halo legend.
Yeah. Can you imagine if like you got to be like an older voice actor and all of a sudden your voice is iconic for Halo? Like that like how could you be so lucky to be like that, like have that voice at the right time to be the Halo announcer? And now that's iconic. That's like part of his brand now. You know what I mean? That is like right place, right time, perfect voice.
Absolutely. The voice acting in Halo has always been pretty good, though.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What was I going to say next? Circling back to movies. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you've got things like Bo Burnham's Inside. You've got things like Tomorrow War that apparently was produced pre-pandemic. I didn't know that. That makes a lot more sense.
To your point, again, I don't know unless like movie studios disclose everything, which I don't know if they're going to be as forthcoming with the movie they released. That's like, yeah, we had to figure it out like midway through, because then people and critics might think like they're like, oh well, that's showing weakness, and they'll know like our movie's bad or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do think there's going to, and this is like I've just kind of been understanding of this for movies because I think we're going to get this for like the next 2 years. It was similar with like a writer strike. I think it's going to be a while until like things are back to normal, because there's going to be stuff that was just kind of cobbled together and you're like, well, I guess that works. So for instance, Falcon and Winter Soldier, at least from my understanding, they had a virus thing that they were going to put in people that was from China. A complete coincidence, but that was a bad time to make that like your central thing. And I hot take on this, and this is a theory that I have. I think No Time to Die, Rami Malek's like big bad weapon in No Time to Die is a virus, like a pandemic that he's trying to start or something like that, like a type of gas, and they had to rewrite it or something. So I do wonder if there's like some sentiment if like people had like disease movies and they're like, probably not the best time to, have the disease movie. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of like,
it's like, do you know about what happened with Lilo and Stitch?
No. Oh,
did you say Lulu or Lilo?
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo. Mission accomplished. JC hit 50.
So you know how in Lilo and Stitch near the end they like hijack the like the big spaceship?
Mm-hmm.
Well, originally it was supposed to be a 747, and then 9/11 happened.
Yep.
Oh man, I did not know that.
Same with Spider-Man. Yeah, big events.
Spider-Man
like
and
that.
the Twin Towers. Yeah.
But the best one, and I don't mean to say the best 9/11 thing or whatever, but is Dana Carvey on God, what's the movie with Dana Carvey where he's a turtle?
The
Master of Disguise. Yeah, Dana Carvey.
Am I turtly enough for the turtle club?
In the turtle suit, had to tell the entire production that 9/11 happened.
Oh my gosh, what?
And he was in the turtle suit.
No, you know what my favorite is I forget, but it's one of the Muppets movies. And it came out, yeah, Hay knows this one. It came out in like 2003 or something like that. But listen, there's a scene where Kermit like use an alternate universe where he was never born, but it's in like the same time frame. And in that timeline, the Twin Towers are still standing in the background of New York, which means that Kermit the Frog somehow caused 9/11 in our timeline, according to the canon of that movie.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
So hopefully we get a Muppet movie like that.
That's like a great Muppet movie.
All right. I have one last question for y'all. Okay. One last question. This is a serious one. And this kind of plays into your Oscars video, Spy.
Oh boy.
How much do you think, and this is a video game question too, like inserted storylines for the sake of winning awards, how much do you think that affects movie quality and or video game quality?
Let's just watch Crash 2006, and then we can all come back and discuss.
Solid
just saying,
burn.
like,
That's a
I'm just
solid
saying,
burn.
like-
I like that.
Like if
Fine,
you were
I'm with you.
to insert, I'm saying like,
For The Blind Side starring Sandra Bullock.
oh god,
By the way, it's Crash 2004.
no,
Oh,
no,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
saying
I'm
like
sorry.
if you were to if a movie is produced specifically to win an award, as opposed to producing a movie because it's how you wanted to write the movie. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's a divide in Hollywood where some are trying to win awards and some are trying to write good movies.
This is
I don't think that's
thing.
mutually. That's not mutually exclusive, man. I think people assume
don't think
if
so?
they're writing. I think they assume you're writing a good story, it's going to win an award. What the difference is execution, right? So
Like
it's
if
with
it feels
anything.
forced, right?
Yeah, I don't. I think there's a lot of this preconceived notion that people are inserting things, and I won't get specific because I know
I'm not trying to get specific. I'm just saying like it's been a commentary I've heard a lot.
Yeah, I think pandering for this. I think creating a vision for the sake of getting the award is not in itself, and it's not noble. Like we all hope that our videos do well, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think all of us are trying to create something that we can be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how much of it goes. Like I'm sure there might be some producers like we're putting a lot of money in
more
this,
of the companies. I think that the companies are like puppeteering winning awards as opposed to the writers and the producers. I don't think they have any.
It all comes down to a for your consideration campaign versus actual quality.
And it's not a new thing either.
That's fair too. It's just come to light more in present day, I think.
Well, you know the old trope, right? The Emmy scene, the Oscar scene. I can't read. You know that goes back 50 some odd years, and it's just a running gag that all of these movies there's a commercial value to them. And
I'm not trying to have like a hot debate on it. I'm just wondering.
No, not at all. I'm just saying.
Like I didn't want to I think I might have broached the topic in the wrong way. I guess what I was trying to say is, do you think that movies produced by big name studios as opposed to indie films are more corporatized towards awards as opposed to say The Lighthouse is more of an indie movie, right?
Yeah.
I don't think a movie where what SpyV described as self pleasure to a mermaid would be in the same vein as
exact wording I used, but yes, I was a bit more vulgar with my description.
It does feel like a little, and this is why I think a lot of people have gravitated to something like this Indie Spirit Awards, because they'll recognize something like A24's works or like a movie like First Cow, which has people every year. People be like, why do the Oscars not nominate this? And it's like, guys, the Oscars didn't really see this movie.
It's poor and doesn't have a lot of money to pour into for your campaign.
The only thing that I guess would say about this is I think what an Oscar, because there used to be a term Oscar bait, and I think Oscar bait is kind of shifting a little bit, because we saw a movie like Trial of the Chicago 7, which I like, other people don't. That's fine. We don't have to get into that here. But that is tit for tat. That is Oscar bait. That is the definition of Oscar bait. I liked it. Even if you don't, it's Oscar bait. You can enjoy Oscar bait because guess what? It's bait. It can be good, just like Dan was saying. But that movie won no awards at the Oscars, if I'm correct. So I think they're something like Parasite may have just shaken up what the Oscars are.
I forgot about that. That was a good movie.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think a lot of that also comes down to because the Oscar voting pool was always fairly old as well. And
which would affect what they would vote for.
Exactly. Yeah. Because look, if I take someone's grandma to a movie and she's like, well, I want to see the movie where the guy learns how to read. No, not Neil Breen. But the guy learning how to read. And you're like, well, he has a great performance, sure. But another movie let
me stop right there. The reason why you guys keep bringing up The Blind Side is because of how much stuff wasn't true in the movie, correct?
Well, that's just the classic That's just like the classic white savior movie where
Okay,
like
I wanted to make sure I was understanding why that movie keeps getting brought up. I wanted to make sure I understood because it's actually a movie I haven't seen, to be honest with you, and I have no interest in seeing it.
it makes white women feel good about not being as racist as they could be.
But okay. So I would offer this as like a point of argument, I guess, because I think you can recognize like problems in movies, and I don't like The Blind Side, to be clear, but I think you can recognize like problems with movies and tropes and all that stuff and still enjoy the movie. Because for instance, a movie like The Help is like it's similar to The Blind Side in a lot of ways, but that's still to me like an enjoyable movie. And another one, I don't know if y'all even remember Freedom Writers with Hilary Swank. I was told it's like the pinnacle like white savior movie. And it is, and I understand. Like I'm like, okay, I get how like that's a thing that needs to change. But I'm like, but
Green Book.
It kind of. But semi hot take, I guess, in people like my age group on the Twitter sphere. I kind of like Green Book. Did I like them? Did I like them not thanking the artist when they won Best Picture? Of course not. But like the movie, Mahershala's great. Viggo's great. Was the marketing good? No, but but yeah, that's the interesting thing because just 3 years ago, an Oscar bait movie, Green Book, like won. So I think the Academy themselves are kind of torn, and this is the year that I think I'm curious where it will go because I don't even know what the Oscar bait movie would be besides West Side Story. I don't know if you guys have looked at the like awards preview.
Hold on. There's a new West Side Story.
There's a new West Side Story.
I'm curious.
No, maybe the West
Side it's Spielberg making it.
Like...
A Spielberg? Oh yeah, that's Oscar bait.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's so. I guess this is my question: is like, I don't know.
When has a Spielberg movie ever not been considered for an Oscar?
But when is another person like Meryl Streep? Like when Meryl Streep makes a movie, then it's gonna have to be Oscar bait, like because Meryl Streep's in it.
Yeah.
So even someone like Denzel Washington, guess what? Denzel Washington like kind of makes Oscar bait movies, but we all love Denzel Washington and Meryl Streep, and we all kind of have biases for like movies that we want to be bad and not do well. That we're like, oh, that's Oscar bait, but then we'll watch. Decent. Well, we'll watch something else that's clearly like Oscar bait and be like, yeah, but I like it. And Dan's point, yeah, everything's
to
trying
watch
to
Green Book, and then they need to watch If Beale Street Could Talk, and that'll kind of give them a good context for what people mean when they say like Oscar baiting movies.
Well, I think, Chris, it seems more like the point you're trying to make is not necessarily Oscar bait per se, but more corporate kind of, I guess, the Marvel image, right? This kind of corporate influenced cookie cutter kind of movie versus the more indie movies. If I'm
like for example, what's going to hit the widest audience is usually a relatively, and this is not to say that this is always the case, but in general, what's going to hit the mainstream audience is usually a simple concept movie that could at its base be explained by anybody, but at its core could be a deeper movie. But sure. I think overall, that's not necessarily like deep writing or like writing that everybody's going to want to write. But that's what's going to get the big budget. That's what's going to get the big focus. That's what's going to get the giant marketing campaign behind it. Like
and people seeing it ideally.
Exactly.
So to your point real quick, Chris, and I don't know did you watch the Oscars this year at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I can't tell you the last time I watched the Oscars, to be honest with you.
Well, but here's the thing. The Oscars are in a neat spot too, because there weren't big releases last year, like at all. All the big movies like usually are being filmed in March to June for the Oscar campaign. So a lot of indies like Minari, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, they got a ton of play. Like Sound of Metal was the
Hold up, did you say No Man's Land?
No, sorry, Nomadland.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say No Man's Land is an island somewhere, I think.
It could be a movie. But my point is like so many people told me like because I'm the movie guy or whatever, and so many people are like, yeah, like what's the deal with the Oscar movies this year? I've seen none of the movies, even though all of them were on streaming, all of them were available. Like you could watch these movies, people just didn't want to. So like the Oscars kind of like have to scratch the back a little to have a couple of those? Like, because there's some people that are like, well, why was a Marvel movie nominated for Best Picture when Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture? But at the same time, Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, like big movies, like the Oscars kind of have to have those for people to care.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely
Which
true.
is, look, if they kind of want to rig it, that's okay with me. Because they don't even release the voting, and that's what bothers me. They should make it to the public, but you know.
Speaking of rigging, can the Detroit Lions ever win a Super Bowl? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I guess that was just kind of my point. Like, it seems like this corporatism into movies has affected story writing, and indie movies kind of have that more freedom, but they don't have the budget most of the time, right?
Yep.
And the last time I saw a low budget indie movie break it big, wait, there was something recent, wasn't there? It was a low budget movie like last year, the year before that really hit it big. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Well, I mean, A Quiet Place was made for nothing.
Parasite was made relatively cheap as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I guess you can see like low budget, high dollar.
Well, but here's the thing to like that point, Chris, is like, if something like A Quiet Place, like a streaming service acquires them, like how do you quantify like numerically? Because people are just checking something on a streaming service. But I'm curious, when did the movie come out that you're trying to think of?
Well, for example, like Blair Witch forever ago led to a giant studio in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like Paranormal Activity, low budget, high
Well, if we're talking about this,
profit.
So we mentioned it on All That Film podcast. The Purge series, one of my friends, Nick, ran the numbers. They haven't invested $31 into making those movies for like, I think it's 5 movies at this point. They have made back like $458 $1 million in box office grosses. So basically it would be like if I went to Chris and I say, hey, you give me $1, I'll give you 31 in return. Does that sound like a good investment? And that's how the Purge franchise does. So yeah, horror's never going to go away.
Yeah. So I guess the point has been proven. Like, yes, there is the corporatism and there is that, but the indie movies kind of keep the deeper, less mainstream stories alive, the indie scene. And I'm happy the indie scene is still there, because when you look at things like Xbox Game Pass and streaming services, you would have thought that would have destroyed most of the indie scene in gaming, because Game Pass literally can make or break a game. But Microsoft has done a good job of curating and bringing in indie games. And like services like Netflix have done a good job, I think, about bringing in indie films, indie shows into the mainstream. But then you have to pitch your indie show or indie game to these bigger corporate entities to get your position in there. So it's almost like it is kind of weird, because these indie shows exist and they make it through some of these processes. But at the same time, how many shows are we losing or missing out on because
someone said no?
Because you have the Avatar pitch that Nickelodeon somehow said yes to.
Yeah.
But how many times does somebody pitch that and Nickelodeon says no, ain't gonna happen?
Well, but also like to that point a little bit, I know this sounds weird, but this is close to like where I'm kind of at with TV. There is so much like good stuff, like TV wise, released like every other week, and it's like, dude, like I just wish I could go back to when it was just Avatar, and like I guess if I was an adult, I could watch Mad Men, like, and that's it. And so many people are like, you gotta watch Dominion, and I'm like, do I?
Well, my brother messaged me the other day and said, hey, did you finish Attack on Titan yet? And I'm like, dude, I completely forgot about Attack on Titan.
Me too. I watched season 1 and I forgot about it.
Well, are you also season 1 on Attack on Titan, Chris?
No, I've seen like 3 or 4 seasons of it.
Okay, it's on season 4. So
the
reason I was wondering is so many people, like, it was super popular with the final season. But so many people like Spy had jumped off of it. But yeah, back to the point. I know this sounds bad, but if we greenlit like 50,000 avatars, would that make Avatar like a little less special? Like, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying 50,000 people could make like an Avatar show, but I don't know. I don't know if I would y'all watch. How many if there were let's say 50 Avatar shows that existed, how many would you have watched like by now?
I mean, if I'm being honest, probably like 0 because I'm really bad about watching TV shows, but that's another conversation.
Hey, Dan, I got a question for you.
What's up, buddy?
This is like my last thing I want to ask. So countries have kind of, because of the different laws on movies and commentary and copyright, how much does the location that you live in affect your ability to produce content?
So I mentioned the case of the 3 YouTubers getting arrested. That's probably more of a trial case than anything at this point, just to see what happens. So I think the corporate overlords are pushing to crack down on YouTubers, basically. Copyright law here is much more stringent, and they don't necessarily have the same conception of fair use as we do stateside. But in terms of does it influence my decision? Not really. Well,
didn't you have an entire 2 videos of your reacting get taken down due to that reason?
Yes. Okay. To be fair, that was one video that got taken down.
Oh, okay. It was one. Okay.
And I took down the other one just preemptively, so I didn't get a second strike. But yeah, I mean, well, reaction videos are weird. I think Spy is probably, you know about this stuff. Reaction, there's different types of reaction, and there's a half-assed type of reaction where people are just putting the entire thing in the corner.
Yeah,
and that's just skirting copyright. You're just you're showing an episode of a movie, and that's not cool. And I don't think that's cool wherever you go. But if you have something to say about it, I think you should be able to do it, as long as you're respecting the work and trying your best in good faith to avoid copyright problems. Yeah, Good question though. I don't know, Spy. How does it work with you guys in the art community in terms of drawing characters and stuff?
You're pretty much never gonna get flagged for drawing something
because that's an original creation on.
That's
on
else,
right?
Now stuff starts to get kind of finicky at times if you're selling fan art of something. But even then, most people will get away with it, honestly. But sometimes if you have an online, if you sell it in person, like at comic conventions or whatever, you're never going to get caught. You're going to be fine. But
that's
if
like
you're
that guy selling DVDs out the back of a van.
That is basically what it is. But if you are selling them online, you are running more of the possibility that you might get struck. But the actual process of just creating the art to use as background footage, you're never going to get struck for that. That's why art commentary is for people who like to do that, that's why that's a viable option, a viable route to take.
Probably my best example of a reaction channel is Zing Helios. I shout out to him. He does a great job. I don't know if any of you guys watch Zing Helios, but and in fact, hey, you should bring him on your podcast sometime.
We've been trying to figure. He has an interesting schedule right now. So anyways, we've been trying to work out a time. But yeah.
His reaction videos, I think, are what I would consider a standard for transformative work, where you're reacting to something. Like you could watch one of his videos and you would see right there's the line between reaction, lazy as Dan put it, and reaction transformative work. I think you could watch his video and you could see exactly what that difference is. So, yeah, I just wanted to say, do you guys have anything that you would like to add to this conversation? We're at that 2-hour mark at this point. We've kind of hit a lot of things I wanted to hit. Maybe not everything, but a lot of things I wanted to hit. Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about real quickly before we wrap up? I'm going to give it to Dan first. I know Dan's been very polite about not jumping in the middle of Hay and I talking. And
not at all. It's been a lot of fun to listen to you guys. Nothing really. I think we covered a lot of interesting points. I honestly hope that the movie industry does rebound. It's an important part of, I think, the American experience, and it's one of those things that I think helps enrich the world. All of the different movie studios across the world. We live in a world now where we can watch movies from anywhere at the snap of a finger, right? And that's so cool. And we can enrich ourselves about other cultures. And I think that movies bring us all together. And I really want us to start watching more movies, indies. And, the big thing, I guess, is you see it a lot in movie Twitter is film Twitter is gatekeeping. Enjoy what you like. Have a criticism of a movie, but let people like what they like. If you like Space Jam 2 and I don't, that's cool, but I'm not going to shame you for liking your movie. I might rib you a bit, but I'm not going to be like, you are not a real Looney Tunes fan. Like, what does that even mean?
That is odd.
Be cool. Yeah. Be cool and like what you like, enjoy it as long as you're not hurting anybody, and watch more film.
Honestly, Dan, we could do a whole podcast just on gatekeeping in all different forms of media communities.
We got it when Halo Infinite comes out. When Halo Infinite comes out, we're gonna have to talk about it because it's gonna flare up.
What's really funny is sometimes there's like opposite gatekeeping that happens where people are like, "You're not allowed to dislike something." Or you're like a bad person, and I'm like, bro, I just want to hate. I want to rip on the Sonic movie. Leave me alone.
or like you don't like something, and because you don't like it, you also don't like this, and it's like, well, no, that's not true. There's definitely some gray area for liking one part of a series and not liking the other part of a series.
But that's constructive
for the internet,
right?
Hey, what would you like to throw? Anything else?
Yeah, I was going to mention, because y'all were talking about interactive stuff on Netflix earlier, and I completely forgot about this point. Netflix is investing in doing like a Game Pass thing. How do you feel about that, Chris? Because they're like trying to make games on their service as well.
All right, here, direct message for Netflix. No, thank you.
Why? Wait, what? Why?
I don't want it.
Okay, wait. I actually am curious about this. So many people had animosity about this and were like, no, Netflix, what? But
I just want Netflix to produce good shows and movies.
But they don't make good shows.
I don't subscribe to Netflix for gaming.
Sir,
I subscribe to
Netflix.
Game Pass, PS Now. I even had a brief stint with Google Stadia.
But
I tried
I remember
Amazon.
that face. Oh man, you were talking about Google Stadia for such a long time, and I was like, oh my god, it's not gonna
I still don't like it. I still think it's a bad service. Listen, I don't need any more streaming game services. They're all bad. Even Xbox, xCloud, they're all bad.
But they're not streaming games, from my understanding. They were just making games that you could play on Netflix.
Okay, now you're talking about the app growing in size for me to download these games. No, thank you.
Okay,
listen, Netflix, I don't need every single person. That's like saying, hey, every single company should make movies. No, not every company. Like, we don't want Walmart making movies, do we?
I mean, I do, but I want to see what the Pillsbury Doughboy has up for a miniseries. Okay,
let's put it this way. Do you think that every film company can make a game?
No.
Do you think that every streaming service can make games?
But Netflix is huge, and
I don't care. Rebase things. Stay out of the gaming industry.
Whatever. People don't want free stuff. That's fine.
It's not free. I pay for Netflix. I don't want to have to pay more money to add games to the network.
Chris, here's my question. You pay for Netflix, correct?
Yes, and it goes up every time they try to add to it.
Have you seen the Kissing Booth 1 and 2?
No.
But you pay for Netflix, Chris. Why aren't you watching it?
Look, here's where I'm at with that. Stadia is horrible, okay? The Amazon gaming service is horrible, okay? Twitch is good. Amazon gaming, horrible. Luna's going to fail, okay? All right. Microsoft xCloud. I had beta access. I've had it this whole time. Do you know how many times I've used xCloud after I realized how bad it was?
Never.
I've used it no times since I found out how bad it was. Game streaming services that have games are not good. They're not there yet. We need the internet to get way better for that to be a good service. You have to live near a hub for a gaming service over streaming to work.
Well, plus you don't own the game either, and I think that's a really bad.
If you live near a Google hub, Google Stadia is probably awesome. But I live in the middle of nowhere, farm town, USA. No streaming service works for me, except for like video streaming. So until they can figure out how to deliver to people like me, it can't be mainstream game streaming. And Netflix is not going to make like just Netflix's business model is not right for it either. So I don't see how it's going to work. I don't want Netflix getting gaming. That's where I'm at. I don't need net game, whatever you want to call it.
I think it would be Game Flex, but
Game Flex.
Game Flex.
Yeah. Vin Diesel would be making games. No, real quick, one last final. How do you feel? And you've already tweeted about this. How do you feel about the Steam Deck thing?
It's cool.
Okay,
I want one.
But do you think it'll succeed?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think.
But you have to keep in mind, like, for Steam to launch a successful product is not the same thing as Nintendo launching a successful product.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All Valve wants is their product to be in the hands of somebody and cause them to purchase more games on Steam.
Yeah.
Which is why their VR set, although it hasn't even sold as much as the PlayStation VR. It doesn't have to. It just has to sell enough that it makes enough sales on the platform that it justifies existing. Like Nintendo, if the Switch doesn't sell, Nintendo's business model is screwed. If the Steam Deck doesn't sell, Valve is fine.
That's true.
So they only need, I mean, even if they sold like 1 million Steam Decks, that's a success in my opinion. Which they'll sell like 10 million. They'll probably sell 20 million Steam Decks. I don't know. It could sell because people are like chomping at the bit for a Switch Pro that's never coming. This thing can play every single AAA game at 720p that you can think of on your computer. And you know how many PC gamers have a Switch? It's a high number. This is like the Switch for PC gamers.
How do I play Mario Tennis on the Steam Deck though?
The Switch emulator on PC.
What? That's illegal, Chris. No way.
Well, if you own the game already on your Switch, then you can play it in, 4K on your dock with your Steam Deck.
Spy, did you notice how like Chris's voices went like evangelical? He was like, they're going to sell 1 million copies. And then it was amazing how he just got in this weird groove.
Giving me amazing Copeland vibes with that one.
Exactly. I want to donate money now.
All right. Anyways, Spy, what's your? Hey, I'm sorry I shut you down there.
No, it's not. No, that was the exact answer I wanted.
No, I'm happy you never asked me about the Intellivision Amico. I'm not talking about that today. All right. SpyV, tell me what's your last thoughts on this podcast here? What do you got? What do you got left? What's left in the tank here?
Due to a sort of bet/competition that I am in Hay's Discord server, I must request that in 14 days, when Green Knight is released to theaters across the U.S., that everybody go and watch the movie in person, because Hay bullied me and told me that I was making a stupid decision when I picked that movie for my summer lineup. And now I have to make sure that everybody goes and watches it in person and buys a ticket to tell Hay that he was wrong.
She picked a movie that released on Netflix.
This movie?
You spelled Green Knight wrong.
Wait, how do you spell it?
The Green Knight. The Green Knight, like a medieval knight with a K.
This night. Okay. I had no idea what you were even talking about.
Go watch it in theaters, please. I need the points.
That's the one?
I need the points in the tourney.
How many tickets do you need to sell for Spider-Man?
A lot. All Hay did was just bully my entire selection. It was awful. And then they bullied me for my use of the word prequel. It was awful. It was just a bullying session.
Look, let's talk about Dead Series need to come back. I want Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern back just because of how cringy it is.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He can
Chris,
be Deadpool.
You chose evil with that decision.
Anyways, last bit of news here. No, I'm just kidding. We're all done. As always, I am Chris. The guests here are my friends, what I consider my friends anyways, really cool people. Y'all should subscribe to them. We actually have a poll coming out tomorrow with our first quote-unquote poll spotlight, where I'm actually, Dan, you don't know this yet, but your channel is being featured in the poll as a place to go subscribe to on our community tab. So everybody should start checking out our polls whenever you get a chance, because they've been a lot of fun. I don't know if you've seen these guys, but we've had quite a few cool ones. If I can actually get there. Come on, community tab, load. Like today, Saturday Catterday, vote for your favorite cat. Apparently, Tom and Jerry, Tomcat's winning by a long shot. We also have Star Wars barely winning against Lord of the Rings and whatever other category wound up being. Fable. Apparently, we need to talk about Fable more. Halo by a long shot.
We'll rig that Fable one.
Halo by a long shot, apparently. That's our biggest fan base. And then I asked why people subscribed. That was fun. Apparently, the live podcast is working. That's got the most votes. So tomorrow we have a poll coming out. Look forward to that. It's got a featured thing talking about Dan's channel in the poll saying go subscribe to his channel. So do that now so you don't have to be reminded tomorrow. And let's get Dan to that 1,000 because I'd love to see what Dan produces when he starts getting paid to produce.
Much the same. In fact, inferior quality. Because now I'm making money. I don't have to care anymore.
he's like 7 videos a week at like 20% quality.
You will
Chris,
make,
remember,
you will
we
make
used to be
2 pennies a month at first.
Well, Spy, how much do you make? No, oh, I'm sorry. That's rude. I'm sorry. No,
No,
never mind.
no,
We
no,
can
no,
ask
no,
that. We'll ask
sorry.
that
I apologize.
offline.
I shouldn't
We'll ask that offline.
That was rude of me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can tell you my analytics are looking like 50 cents a month right now. That's where we're at.
That's hard.
Damn, that's some good money.
But I did activate Super Chat. So if y'all ever want to, you can. But I'm not asking for it. I just activated it because somebody said, you need to activate Super Chat. So I was like, fine. Okay. So that's that. Go check out our polls. Vote in the polls. Have fun. You know, it's a lot of fun to find out that our audience is all Halo people. So there's that. But if you haven't subscribed to these guys, go do it. That's an order. Krillcast, Swarm order. And as always, I'm Chris.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Hay.
And I'm Spy.
And hopefully we'll see you all, if we didn't completely turn you off, on the next Krillcast. See you guys later. Take care.
Bye.